Hi guys, and welcome back. So in today's video I thought I would just have a quick chat with you. We're coming up to the new year again, talking about New Year's resolutions, looking at how our first year of zero waste has been, and talking a bit about my health and where I've been for the last couple of months and what's likely to happen going forward. So that's what we're covering in today's video. So this time last year I did a video talking about how our New Year's resolution for 2018 was to try and go zero waste. So going zero waste doesn't actually mean zero waste, it means to aim towards emitting zero waste from the household, from our consumer end of things, but also trying to source things in the products that we do buy from companies that are ethical and that produce less waste and recycle more, run on more sustainable energy and so forth. So we started that project a year ago. The first 6 months went really well. That was when I was in much better health, and I was doing most of the organising of things, most of the cooking of meals, most of the grocery shopping and so forth. And obviously I'm really invested in this as a project because it was my idea and it was something that I really wanted to do. My husband, on the other hand, is less invested. So when I became bedbound, my husband was doing most of the grocery shopping and the cooking. A lot of the single-use plastic wrapping on food items started to creep back in to our lives, and to be honest, it hasn't bothered me because I can't ask more than that. He's already looking after me, he's already caring for me, so to ask more that he should expend more energy and be more conscientious about his plastic use is it's not very considerate and empathetic of me. So we have discussed it on several occasions, and he is more conscious of his single-use plastics and he will make choices, good choices. For example, he's still shaving with his safety razor and with shaving soap rather than the cans of shaving foam that he used to use, and we're still eating a vegetarian diet at home, although he does eat meats when he's out and about because that's how he chooses to go about things. He does make those choices to be more environmentally friendly and zero waste as part of a unit with me, but there are certain things that he has never wanted to compromise on from day one, and also certain things that if he's cooking and he's doing the grocery shopping, he doesn't want to have to worry about all the extra effort that goes into, for example, pre-soaking beans the night before to make a meal the following day, which is fair enough. He's working 6 days a week most weeks, so it's quite a big ask to ask anyone, and certainly something that doesn't bother me that much. With all the other things that have been going on in our lives, a bit of single-use plastic isn't the end of the world. We've made huge strides this year forwards. If it's not perfect, it's not perfect. I never claimed that it would be, and I wouldn't hold myself to that sort of standard anyway. Even if I were in full health, I don't think you can hold yourself to perfectionism. I think it's just a recipe for mental health disaster. So I'm very pleased with the way things have gone. I think we could do more next year, and certainly I'm going to be trying to make a lot of changes with my health to hopefully enable me to do more around the home again, which will then obviously reduce our single-use plastic consumption there as well. The second thing, we've always been a single car family since we got a car, probably 6 years ago now. We've always just had the one car, and we've carpooled and so on. That's not working out for us anymore because of my health. So I have seizure-like attacks. It's very much like epilepsy, but it's not epilepsy. It's called episodic ataxia. I have a warning that it's about to come on, so I'm able to pull over and stop on the side of the road, but At the moment, I'm not driving anywhere that's not within walking distance of the house, because at the moment we've got no way of retrieving me or the car should that happen, because once an attack starts, it can last for hours to days. So I need to be picked up and brought home. So we are getting a second car this year, which will mean that I can hopefully get back to the office at certain points, because I'll be able to drive that far, in the knowledge that if I do have to pull over and I'm half an hour's drive from home, my husband will have a car and will be able to drive over and pick me up, and we'll be able to just abandon my car wherever we have to, come home and go and pick it up the next day or in a few days' time, when I'm better, and we'll just have to leave a notice in the windscreen of the car to let anyone who's concerned know that this is what's happened, and that we will be coming back for the vehicle, and with contact details, so if anyone needs it to be moved, they can let us know what's going on. So that's something new for us, which is almost a step backwards in terms of environmental concerns, having to invest in a second car, but in terms of my independence and our ability to function independently of one another, it's going to be a big step forward. I can't walk very far. Walking is something that, and any kind of physical exertion is something that triggers my attacks. So I'm going to be getting crutches and a walking stick for when I do have to walk somewhere. But to be honest, I'm avoiding walking further than 5 minutes from the house, just in case. I walked back from my guitar lesson the other week and had an attack on the way home. It is just almost invariably, if I exert myself for more than 15 minutes, I will have an attack, and then I might be out of action for 3 or 4 days. So it's just not worth it. So having the second car is really kind of a must for us now. But also having new mobility aids and tools around the house to help me out. So I've already had some adaptations that I've been making. For example, I've got a chair that I always use in the kitchen that's a high sort of umpire's chair that folds up. So it's got a backrest and it's tall, and I can sit on that and cook over the hob, and I'm at the same height that a standing person would be. I can do the washing up, I can do anything I need to do in the kitchen sitting on my chair, and it's got a footrest that's at the right height so that I'm not dangling or hanging precariously. I can sit solidly, because the condition episodic ataxia is primarily a balance and gait problem. It also has problems with vision, problems with hearing, but primarily it makes you fall over and lose your balance and not be able to use your fine motor skills with your hands and feet. It also makes you slow your speech. So when I'm in an attack like that, I'm very bad. It looks like I'm drunk. It's really embarrassing to have a condition that makes you appear to be drunk, especially when you're like me and you don't actually drink. But also because if you fall over and people think that you're a drunk person who's brought it on themselves, there's very little sympathy or empathy, and people won't come and help you up. Whereas if I'm walking with my walking stick or my crutches, I'm hoping that people will be a little bit more considerate and helpful and a bit less point and laugh, because it would be much nicer if they were. So that's something. We're also going to get a handrail for the stairs, so I've got one on either side, grab rails in the bathroom, anti-slip stickers, all sorts of fun and games, just to keep me upright and stop me falling over. So hopefully that will also, if I'm not wobbling so much, will reduce the fatigue. I'm also going to be taking a whole bunch of supplements: magnesium, zinc, iron, vitamin B complex and coenzyme Q10, all of which are good for boosting the immune system and boosting fatigue and coping with fatigue, to hopefully alleviate some of the exhaustion. It's very common with chronic neurological conditions that you get this constant exhaustion, but I sleep most of the time. I sleep all night and I sleep all day, and I wake up for a couple of hours and have a little nap, and then I'll wake up for another couple of hours. So it's just juggling life around these things, and trying to also juggle the things that I want to do, the projects that I want to do, and the activities that I want to take part in to have good quality of life, and also my environmental concerns and things like that I want to do, along with working to earn a living and having a relationship. So it's all a balancing act. So I will be doing a video on my illness, what's going on with me in much greater detail, and to do with just generally how spoon theory works, and a bit about what it's like living with a chronic illness, just to try and explain a bit about why I'm unpredictable with my videos. So I promise to try and make more videos this year. Hopefully I will be able to raise my energy levels enough that I will have enough to actually do some things. I did a lot of prep work for a lot of videos I was going to make in the run up to Christmas, for a lot of things I was going to make for Christmas hampers, and didn't actually finish any of them, so there are no videos on those. So I've got elderberry wine that still needs to be bottled. I've got mixed fruit jam from fruit I foraged and picked from the garden throughout the year and washed and froze, which is all waiting ready for Christmas jam making. I've got all the sugar, I've got the jars, everything's prepped and ready, I just haven't actually made the jam. And I bought plastic-free drawstring tea bags, because I obviously foraged a whole load of rose hips, of elderberries and so on, and dehydrated them along with all the floral teas that I made earlier in the year from the flowers that I grew in the garden, and the elder flowers that I foraged back in the spring. And I wanted to make up herbal tea bags for all of my friends and family for their Christmas hampers. I made 8 tea bags for one person, and that was the extent. Oh no, I did also make 4 for another friend who came to see us in Panto. So I did some things, but I didn't actually get around to doing them and filming the video. I've just prepped them. I've also got all the stuff to do some face oil. So there's a video by Living the Life You Love, Kay, and she did a video on how she makes face oils. And actually I've done quite a bit of reading on face oils as a moisturiser, and actually it's supposed to be a lot better for people with acne like me. So I'm going to give that a go. I've got vitamin E oil, rosehip oil, and so on, all primed and ready. I've got my glass bottle, I'm all ready to go. I just have to actually get around to doing it. So there's a lot of videos that are in the pipeline but haven't made it to you yet, so they are coming. I think overall the things that I found easiest to do with zero waste have been the toiletries, to a large extent. We're still washing with bar soaps, and with the liquid bar soap that I made into liquid soap earlier in the year. I did a video on that which I'll put a link to. And the zero waste cosmetics, which I've enjoyed making. I've got intentions to do a coal based mascara, so KOHL, not COAL, as in coal eyeliner, but coal based mascara, and a rosewater based cleanser video in the future, which I've also got supplies for. I'm prepped and ready to go. I just have to sit down and get on with it. I've also got a few sewing projects that I want to make videos on. So I am gifting my dad my baritone ukulele, and he is gifting me his 5-string banjo for Christmas. So he's actually picking it up later in the year because they live in France. So when someone comes over with a car, then we will actually exchange gifts. But I'm going to make him a quilted case for the baritone ukulele. It's very difficult to find cases for a baritone ukulele because it's an unusual size. Usually people have soprano or concert size ukuleles that are push a tenor, but nobody really has a baritone ukulele, so I'll have to make that from scratch. I've also bought a wooden Irish flute, which I want to make a padded quilted case for that as well. And I will be making padded guards for my crutches. I'll also be doing customising my crutches, so they're not grey and medical looking, because if I've got to use them, they better be cute, so I'm going to make them pretty. And I think that's it in terms of videos that we've got lined up. I also want to do a couple of cooking videos again. I did a really great seed-based nut roast. So obviously James is allergic to nuts, and so we don't do nuts. But I wanted to do a roast dinner, so I made the other week it was based on a lentil and cranberry loaf. Sort of like a meatloaf, but a vegetarian option, and a nut roast. And I sort of combined the two ideas, and instead of nuts I used seeds, so primarily pumpkin and sunflower seeds, but also all my usual linseed, which is flax seed if you're American, sesame seeds, all the things that I have in my cupboard that just go in all the seed mixes, and that was really good. It was really tasty. So I'm going to do a video on that, because I'm sure there must be other vegetarians and vegans who have nut allergies, and so I think it'd be an interesting recipe for those people. Certainly is for us. Next year's New Year's resolutions, primarily they're health based with me, just trying to get to grips with actually living with this. So I think even though it's been 2 and a bit years since this whole medical drama began, I think it's taken me this long to actually appreciate that when they said chronic, they meant it would never go away. I think you hear it, but you don't process that. And I didn't consider how I would need to change my outlook on life, but also change my practices, change the way that I interact with my house, with my life, with my job, all the things that would need to be changed to accommodate living with it and coping with it on a day-to-day basis. And so for me, I think this year is going to be about actually just trying to get a life back, and a life that's actually interesting, because for the first 6 months of this year I think I just worked and slept and worked and slept, and I didn't do any activities. And for the second half of this year I've done a lot of activities, but my energy levels haven't been able to cope with it. But mentally I had to get out of the house by that point. I was just so fed up of being asleep or at work and never having the time to do anything that I wanted to do. So I think trying to find a better balance this year is part of that New Year's resolution as well. I think also food-wise, we have for the last couple of months, when my husband's been doing the cooking and the shopping, we've reverted to his staples, which are much more processed. I cook from first principles most of the time if I'm cooking. I don't do oven meals and things by choice. If I'm cooking, I tend to do risottos or paellas or rice dishes, or things with grains, or stews, or curries, soups, you know. So getting back to me doing a lot more of the cooking, just to get our health back. in terms of our eating habits, because James would eat pizza 7 nights a week if given the option. It's very carb and very cheese heavy, and not so diverse. He will have the same meal over and over again, and I think certainly when you're eating an already restricted diet, which is the vegetarian diet, you know, in terms of where you're getting your nutrients from, you really do need to be as diverse as possible with that in order to get the best chance at getting all the nutrients. I've had my blood works done so many times this year. I know I'm not deficient in anything major, especially B12, which is the common one for vegan vegetarian, which is probably all the cheese that I eat, because I'm not actually vegan at all. I eat vegan as often as possible, but I have no wish to give up cheese. Sorry, but I don't. So yeah, I think cooking more, eating better, and that will by default improve our zero waste aspirations, because I'll be back to doing the food shopping and the cooking. So there's a lot to be said for that. The one thing I've really enjoyed this year is I got some glass Tupperware from IKEA. That's glass ovenware that can go from the oven to the freezer and then straight back in the oven. And the lids are plastic. They did start doing some bamboo lids, but they hadn't got any in because it was brand new when I went. I went because I'd seen them on the website with the bamboo lids, but they didn't actually have any in stock because it was too new. So I ended up getting the plastic lids, but I would still highly recommend them because, I mean, they're very durable Tupperware, and I know my Tupperware, and they're good quality. But the primary thing about them is you can cook your oven-based dishes like lasagnas, cannellonis, this seed roast, anything like that. I do a lot of gratins and potato bake type dishes as well, and you can cook it in the glass ovenware dish, pop the lid on, stick it in the freezer once it's cooled down. Obviously don't put boiling hot food in the freezer, it's not a good idea, and then you can take it straight out of the freezer and you can pop it straight into the oven. We do tend to defrost them before cooking them in the oven, so we'll get it out in the morning and leave it sitting on the side all day and come back and stick it in the oven in the evening. And that works out very well for us. I'm very pleased with those Tupperware and how they are performing. And I think they're a pretty good zero waste option because they are very durable. So if you're in the market for food prepping supplies, I would highly recommend those. And I will put a link to the ones I mean in the description box below. Last year I also released my first album, which was an album I wrote while I was stuck in bed for the longest time, very ill. And so I wrote the songs and then I recorded them myself and mixed them on my phone, and then I sent the tracks to my brother who mastered them for me, and we made an album which is up on iTunes and Spotify and Amazon Music and all the places. And I'll put a link to my album blog page, which you can go and see, which links to all the places where you can go and download and stream that album. But I started later in the year going out to open mic nights and the acoustic jam night, both at the same bar, which is in our town. It's just at the end of the street. Basically my house is at one end of the street, the bar's right down the other. I go in the car. It's too far for me to walk, but it's not really not far. Any normal person could walk it. And they're very sweet in there. One of the barmaids has had ME, and one of the guys I sit with has had a stroke. So there's plenty of people who aren't drinkers and who aren't drinking and who are highly respectful of the fact that I'm sat there drinking lemonade all night in a pub. Just there for the music, but it's it's good because I don't have to commit to doing it every week. It's something that I can go along and do when I'm feeling good and not go and do when I'm not feeling good, which is much better than most of the activities that I've done in the past, which have tended to be clubs, group activities that you go to every week, and people are sort of dependent on you turning up to a greater or lesser extent. Whereas with these sessions, if I'm not up to it, I don't go, and nobody is negatively affected by that, which is really handy. But it also has meant I've been able to get out of the house. So I've been playing both my own music and a whole bunch of covers at these places, and it's been really, really good fun. I used to do ukulele group when we were living in Reading, which was also at a pub. There's something about ukuleles and pubs that just goes together. And I used to drink lemonade in there as well, which they were also fine with. So even if you're not a drinker, there are plenty of pub activities that you can still get involved in. And I think going out and playing music with other people is a big social thing for me, because you don't have to talk all the time. You don't have to my speech is so bad now. So bad, just full of pauses and me trying to remember the next correct word, and that's when I'm able to speak without slurring my words. So I find talking to people and dealing with other people really hard now. I just prefer to deal with people who know me and understand what I'm trying to say, or have the patience to listen to the end of the sentence. So I think my New Year's resolutions for 2019... I can't talk. So I think my New Year's resolutions for 2019, I want to play more music. I want to perhaps get back into playing the piano. I want to work on this flute. I've got my embouchure down almost now, which is all I've been learning on it so far. So now it's time to start learning some actual fingering of notes and some scales and things. But basically I'm going to improvise in 6/8 over guitar in 4/4, which is essentially how Irish trad sessions work. So we improvise like that at the acoustic jam nights at this bar that I was talking about. So that should be fun. Might take me a while to get up to that level, but we'll see. Yeah, so those are sort of my New Year's resolutions, I think, for next year. Not particularly zero waste oriented, not massively so, apart from the cooking and the food shopping, getting back into that. I think that's my main zero waste ambition. I've completely forgot to mention I'm getting an allotment in hopefully January. I've had a letter to say that I am now at the top of the list, and a whole new bunch of allotments in the new housing development have become available. They will be becoming available very soon, and one of them's got my name on it. So I got a lot of gardening stuff for Christmas. Obviously, if you follow my channel, you know I garden a lot here, in containers in the front garden and in hanging baskets at the back, and in the parking space, our spare parking space. I've got my big bean planter and things. The bean planter will probably stay even though we get a second car, but everything else that's in the front garden will probably end up moving gradually over to the allotment, and I'll probably grow flowers in the front garden, but tea-based flowers, so roses and lavender and all the things that my dog can't have in the back garden but that I want in my kitchen garden will go in the front garden. Things that I can just go out and snip off, and all the carrots and potatoes and spinach and radishes and everything will move down to the allotment. So that's the plan for next year. And obviously an allotment is very zero waste, as is growing your own, and it's also very therapeutic. And for me, it's the exact right kind of exercise, because I can do a lot of it kneeling on my kneeler. I can sit down whenever I want to. I can do it for a few minutes and then I can sit and have a rest for a minute and then I can carry on. Whereas with walking, you never know where the next bench is going to be. And if you're walking, you know, along a road, down a housing estate and things, there are often just not benches. They're often more in public parks and in the town centre. So actually, most of the walk back to my house from town, there's no benches, which is what causes most of my walking drama, I think. But the allotment will provide me the exercise that I need without hopefully triggering any attacks. Generally, I've been quite alright with gardening here, so fingers crossed I will be there as well. So that's kind of where we're at with 2018 and where we are going into 2019, and what you can expect coming up on the channel this year, and a general life update of why I've been so quiet for the last several months now. There've been the odd video and I haven't really appeared in them face on, mostly because I've been in my pyjamas. So I've been doing a lot of voiceovers over video footage for the last couple of months, but I'm hopefully going to blend in a bit more of me being alive and awake this year. So drop me a comment in the comment section down below and let me know about your New Year's resolutions, particularly anything to do with zero waste or things that you're going to be making in the upcoming future. But also, if you're someone who suffers with a chronic illness and you've got any tips on adaptations that you have made or that other people you know have made, particularly to do with balance and mobility or fatigue, then please do drop me a comment as well on that, because it'd be great to have any tips and insights that you have on that topic too. So I hope you all have had a very Merry Christmas and wishing you all the best for the new year for 2019. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.